Well, the country has been left in shock after 8 women were gang raped and robbed on the set of a music video in Krugersdorp last week. Police have over 80 people in custody on charges ranging from illegal mining to illegal immigration in connection with that case. But it's unclear whether any of the suspects have been linked directly to the rapes. Now, gender-based violence activists and community members are outraged at this incident, and they're demanding answers and, of course, justice for the survivors as well. To unpack this further, we're joined by Omogolo Taunyane-Mnguni, who is the Executive Director of GBV Monitor SA. She joins us via our video link this morning. Omogolo, it's great to talk to you on what is, the words escape you to try and describe the incident that unfolded in Krugersdorp last week. Of course, we know a number of things need to happen now. These 80-odd people are appearing in court in connection with that attack. But how do we get justice for the victims of that horror gang rape?
Thank you, Michelle, for having me, and good morning to you and your listeners this morning. You know, it really is an unimaginable, unthinkable thing that has happened, but this is a reality of what women go through. And when we speak about justice, I think the first thing that we really need to emphasize is that we need the criminal justice system to work. We need to know that now that there's been over 80 people arrested, we need to make sure that the criminal justice gets us to the end point. And the end point is to ensure that the perpetrators and those who are complicit in this gang rape are brought to book. They face the full might of the law and they get convictions, and they are locked up for a very long time. The second thing, that I also need to emphasize when we speak about justice is that we really need to give the survivors of this ordeal space to determine what justice looks like for them. Is justice outside of the traditional criminal justice system, or are there other alternatives that they are thinking about that will be justice for them? So that is my take on that.
What do you mean by that, Omogolo? Is justice outside of the traditional justice system?
Usually when incidents like this are reported or women come forward about them having been raped, we doubt them. And after doubting them, we then ask, why didn't you go to the police station to report this? And even after they have reported these incidents and they drop out for whatever reasons, we then cast doubt on the legitimacy of those allegations to say, well, you reported and then you dropped out of the criminal justice system. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, that it's not easy and it is not a black and white matter to say that the only route to justice is to go via the criminal justice system. We know that it's very difficult for women to come forward. We know that they are then stigmatized by the justice system. So if there are women, part of this group of 8 women, if they feel that they don't want to go forward with, being part of an investigation and going through a trial, then we need to give them space and to still say, we believe you. This is what has happened to you. It shouldn't have happened. And it is also okay if you do not want to go through the trauma of a trial or being, being part of this kind of an investigation. That's what I mean.
Because the fact of the matter is, in a trial of this nature, and we saw it in the Sunday papers already, where gruesome, graphic details of the attack perpetrated on individuals in this group of 8 women who were gang raped were laid bare in horrific detail. And as you say, as a survivor of that kind of attack, you don't want to be defined by what happened to you. Is that part of the discussion that we're having at the moment insofar as what justice looks like?
We're not having the discussion. And this is exactly, something that I always feel is a gaping hole in our conversation on GBV. I mean, you make this point of gruesome details, coming to light. I mean, just the process of a J88 form, a criminal kit that police officers use to collect evidence and then hand it over. That process is I don't even have a word for it, but it is a very detailed process. You are asked, you really have to relive what has happened to you. You are asked such detailed, aspects of what has happened that it would be very difficult for some people to go back to that and have to then repeat that in front of, a presiding officer in a courtroom. We saw it with this Cheryl Zondi case that the criminal justice system really, they try to catch out survivors to protect those who they are representing. That would be the alleged perpetrators. But this is the kind of conversation that we need to be having, is that, we need to give a little bit more space to survivors to determine what it is that they are comfortable with.
Or else, as you described the Cheryl Zondi case, it's a case of being raped again, being forced to relive the worst thing that has happened to you in front of a group of people for the media to report on it the next day.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm in conversation with the police minister, in fact, just after our interview with you this morning, Omogolo. What are the big questions that you would like him to answer this morning?
Right. My question to Minister Tsele is, do we know for sure, that these are going to be investigated in great detail to ensure that there are arrests. The fact that there's already so much public interest, national interest in what has happened, should put pressure on the system to make sure that we get convictions. We've seen it in the Nosicelo Mdebeni case. We've seen it now in the Sehofadzopule case. We've seen it in others that have gotten a lot of media interest, those such as of Karabo Mokoena and such. So the minister really needs to make sure that our officials can investigate this thoroughly so that we can go to the next stage, in ensuring that we can get convictions. The second thing, as a general point and not specific to what has happened in Krugersdorp, is we need to make sure that we can close this backlog of our DNA samples. The minister already made mention of it, that there's DNA analysis currently being done. Have they now been prioritized? Are the Krugersdorp rape survivors, do they have confidence that those DNA analysis are going to come back in time, in a timeous manner, so that we can ensure that we can catch these people out? The third thing that we really need from the minister is to ensure that all our police stations have rape kits. I don't know where we are now, but a couple of years ago, around 2020, 2021, it had come to light that it is about 70% of our police stations that have rape kits. So we need to make sure, do all the police stations have rape kits? Do our SAPS officials have the support and all the mechanisms that they need to ensure that they can investigate thoroughly and secure convictions at a later stage?
We'll definitely put those questions to the minister when we speak to him in just a few minutes' time. Let me thank you for your time this morning. Omogolo Taunyane-Mnguni is the Executive Director at GBV Monitor SA, of course, as we continue to unpack that horror gang rape that unfolded in Krugersdorp just last week.